Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Playing Devil's Advocate. I am your host, Miss KiKi, the consummate provocateur, and for the next 120 minutes, we are going to edutain you. That means for the next 2 hours, you are going to be educated and entertained. We have a great show lined up for you, as we do every week, but before we get into that, I need to give you a little information. We are here each and every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, and 10 p.m. to you guys on the East Coast. If you happen to miss a live broadcast, just come on right back here and click on any video of your choice and just enjoy away. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to let us know what you think. You can also do that because we are an interactive show. You can also keep the conversation going on Facebook by going to facebook.com/playingdevilsadvocate. Post your comments there throughout the show or throughout the week, and we'll make sure that we get your comments, suggestions, questions, and all that stuff on the air. You can tweet us so make sure you are following us on Twitter at PDA_Miss KiKi. That's PDA_MSKIKI. Also, if you want to find out about our guests, our hosts, our experts, any of our previous shows, purchase merchandise, get a copy of my book, The Other Woman Code of Conduct, What Every Other Woman Should Know, and Men Too, you can go to KiKiRichardson.com, and there you'll be able to do all of that right there. Again, purchase merchandise, listen to archive shows, find out about our guest hosts and all that stuff right there on KiKiRichardson.com. Also, if you want to have us give you our advice and you want to send us a letter for our Ask PDA segment, don't forget to send us an email at pda.radio@gmail.com, and in the subject put Ask PDA. That's pda.radio@gmail.com, and put in the subject Ask PDA. If we choose your letter, we will reply back and let you know when we will be using your letter on air, so you can listen, watch, and comment, and maybe answer some questions if we had some extended questions about what was going on with you guys. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring in my cast of characters that ride shotgun with me each and every single week. Let's see, who do I want to bring out first? All right, you twisted my arm. Ladies first. All right, she hails from my hometown, the Windy City, and if you don't know, she has fallen from grace for coining phrases like lube is for amateurs. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me and welcome a Miss Sporty, Spunky Angel. What's up, girlie?
What's going on, Kiki?
A whole bunch and not a lot, all at the same damn time.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I got a little scratchy throat. I don't know what the heck is going on. These carrier monkeys are giving me cooties everywhere.
The one that coats is the one that soothes. That's all I'm
I'm
going to
not
say.
good. I'm just going to leave that at that. All right, next up, he also hails from my hometown, the Windy City. He is an author, an entrepreneur. He is the intermittent fasting king of the world, ladies and gentlemen. Please help me and welcome in none other than the Rob Carter. What's going on,
What's up?
Daddy?
What's up? What's up?
Hey.
Hey.
All right, look, tonight's show should prove to be pretty interesting. And the reason why I think it would prove to be interesting because it kind of was brought on from one of our previous shows. We were doing isms, and this conversation came up, and Rob has actually, brought it up on several occasions. So we just said, you know what, to heck with it. Let's just go ahead and do this show. Also, it's going to prove to be interesting because I just want to say for the record, going in, if you are sensitive, this is not the show for you. Everything is going to be racial. It's going to be hugely inappropriate. We're going to say all kind of foul things to one another, and that's because we family and we love each other. So the first thing, I'm going to go ahead and get this out the way. I am the raisin in the oatmeal tonight on my own show. Tonight's show is Colorism. And if you don't know what colorism is basically it is basically bias against people based on their skin color. And it's not just with black people. Sometimes with us it's light skin versus dark skin. Sometimes in the white community it's the blondes versus brunettes, blonde hair, blue eyes, or up here in the brunettes or whatever, or down here. But whatever the situation, what we've learned more than anything is that intra-racial, that means within the race, intra-racial racism only fuels and breathes life into interracial racism. And so tonight we're going to have a conversation about colorism. We're going to talk about those underlying issues that go on within one's race. And if we're able to understand and address those issues, we can begin to work on the big problems. So that's why we're having this conversation, to educate and to also solve some problems if we can, or come up with some solutions.
Yeah.
In the meantime, in between time, something that has been in the news a lot lately, and I'm just going to start out with it today. If you guys see me looking over here, I am communicating with our friends in our interactive chat room. I don't ignore them, and I don't expect they don't expect me to. But I just want to bring this up. In the news, during the preseason, San Francisco 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick decided he wanted to sit down, that he was going to sit down during the national anthem. And so there's been this huge, thing about him choosing not to stand up. You got people saying it's disrespectful and he should be more responsible with his platform, blah, blah, blah. And then you have some people like my friend, and I'm a little sad to say it, but my friend Rodney Harrison, former NFL safety, played for the San Diego Chargers and the world champion New England Patriots. Got several rings. He's an analyst on NBC. He said something to the effect of, he's biracial, so that doesn't even count. He's not even really black. And so everybody's been in an uproar about that, and I saw this article from Sean King from the Washington Post, and he said, he called Rodney a fucking idiot, and he was saying that, how could you say something like that when you yourself, meaning talking about Rodney, are no darker or almost the same shade as Colin and as Obama, so how can you make such a ridiculous statement? And I find it interesting that the conversation would even lead to, you're not black enough to protest. And what I want to say to people who say stupid shit like that, whether it's my friends or anybody I don't know, I don't give a fuck who's standing up for you. If somebody wants to take a stand on your behalf that's going to benefit you, shut the fuck up and thank them.
Hello.
Or thank them. It doesn't matter what shade of black he is, if he's black at all. It just annoys me that black people get in their own damn way all the damn time. And colorism is just one of the ways that we step on our own damn toes. Y'all talk about it amongst yourselves.
You just dismiss the conversation like y'all deal with it now.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
I don't see how the two issues related. You know, whether he was black or biracial or not with the national anthem, because Americans should have been whatever. But let's talk about the black enough though. That's the issue that I want to bring out, because, and I've seen it on a lot of levels, because we grew up in Chicago where, I mean, you get it, but it's not as extreme as it is in the South, because and I guess I'll wait to get to that one, because that's almost like a mindset of a different race within a race. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get to that, the paper bags and the Creoles and all of that shit, because that gets deep. That gets a little deeper. But you know what constitutes black enough? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you hear all these other extremes where people who are not trying to be black at all, but then they found that they had this 1% whatever that makes them black, because you got any black blood, they want to exclude you from the purity race or whatever they talking about. So what makes you black enough? I mean,
well, I guess it is. I guess, and I don't even know what would prompt a light-skinned person to say that a biracial person or a lighter-skinned person isn't black enough. I don't know what would prompt them to say that, but I can take it from the other side of the flip side, where it could come from a darker person's perspective. Saying you're not black enough may tend to lead to the fact that you don't have the same problems. You know what I mean? Like light-skinned people problems. You know how people like white people problems, black people problems, and then light-skinned people problems. You know, the problem is somewhat differently, because, you know, we got to deal with the way that society treats you, media treats you, you know, all of those other things. So in somebody's mind, it might be that since you don't have the same level of problems I have, then you're not black enough to speak of it.
You don't get it. You don't understand. So it's not you are more diluted of authenticity. It's just that you don't have to see or experience the same shit I experienced. So I'm a little twisted about that. So don't try to claim that you can roll with me. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think it's kind of twofold. But yes, I think that does play a part in it. But I do think the overarching issue may be that you just don't get it. This ain't your struggle.
Right.
So who doesn't get it? The lighter skinned us's or you?
Yeah, no, we don't get it. We don't get it because we are not profiled to the same degree, as I guess that's what I'm hearing, as the darker person. So we don't get
the darker person.
But we still get profiled or treated differently than a Caucasian or a different race. So now we got our own little struggle, and because we're being pushed from two directions, now aren't we almost forced to alienate ourselves from the darker and the other ethnic groups?
I think the argument would be that, yeah, you may be treated differently from whiters and the whiters, the others and the whites. You may be treated differently, but it's still a step above. And it's still kind of like the slave mentality of, even though you're still a slave, you get to work in the house while I get to toil in the field. You know what I mean? It's that kind of mentality to which that commentary comes from. You don't get it. Your struggle's not like mine. Whether it's true or not remains to be seen, because neither one of us have walked in either of our, person's shoes. I've never been a light person. You've never been a dark skinned person.
But the alienation that then the light skinned person gets because of that, then puts you in a position to act differently, because now you get discriminated against from other ethnic groups and within your own. Because I think, although there's a small segment of vain and I want to say entitled mentality, light-skinned people, which we'll get to when we get to the South. But when you deal with us from the North, now we actually are like, what the fuck did I do? And now I get, double discrimination because I didn't do shit but try to help.
Well, I don't know if it's the people from the North don't really understand where it's coming from or how it got to, the target got on their back. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty clear based on the history of black people in this country. Because you have to remember that this whole entire mindset, in terms of colorism within the black community, was ingrained in black people throughout slavery, right? Again, the division, the separation, the lights and the dark, the house niggas and the field niggas, right? And then once emancipation occurred, right, black people kind of bought into creating their own social divides between skin tones. A lot of people talk about, like you say, Rob, we talk about the paper bag test. And Sporty and I both belong to the same organization who has been notoriously pinned with that whole paper bag that paper bag thing, right? So, but there were, even before that paper bag thing, I don't think a lot of people know, they created little societies called blue vein societies. And that was where other blacks were either part of the society or allowed to be in the society only if their skin was light enough that you could see their veins. You know what I mean? And then it moved on to the paper bag test. So it was like it got darker and darker a little bit more because, again, we weren't being infiltrated or diluted as much once Emancipation Proclamation came into play. We were now mingling more with our own and not as much, being, taken advantage of by Massa and all of his little cohorts. You know what I mean? So what this has done, I think, over time is that we bought into that, right? And then we discriminate against one another based on principles that were supposed to keep us divided so that we could never get together and break away from Massa and his oppression. You know what I mean? We drank it.
No, I get it. And, it's almost, see, and back then, the mindset was twofold. I think we look at the surface aspect of it because we see the light skin, the dark skin, the in the house, the in the field. What we don't see is black, pure black, and then that's my kid's damn phone. And then the master son and daughter. You see what I'm saying? Now we don't. That's the aspect of the argument where, I mean, that divide, that's almost like when you get to Creoles and all, they look at themselves as a different race, you know what I'm saying, because of that mixture of, whatever, the black and the slave plantation owner mentality, French derived, whatever, but bam, that's a whole new community as far as some is concerned. And to some respects, the light-skinned population would be as well, because that's your first mixed deal, and that's how Master treated them. You still were black, so you still were a servant, but you were in the house because you were my kid or my offspring or something similar. You know what I'm saying? The offspring of somebody else that we bought in there. Go ahead.
And also, another thing that people don't realize why the quote unquote there was a house nigger in addition to what you're saying is that they, people tend to gravitate toward people that are like them. They didn't know much about dark skinned, people and black Africans. So they figured since those were more like them, they could relate to them a little more, and then they could get a better sense of what was going on with the others. They were kind of like moles, so to speak, in some way. Sporty, you've been kind of quiet. I see people talking.
Well, yeah, people are talking, and I'm getting text messages. One of the issues, my sister, that I was just, my sister Shalimar. Now, granted, we have the same birthday, and we are not identical twins, but, I'm the darkest one of the family. She's, Rob's color. So, I have no problem with that. I have a tan right now, so whatever. But she, we get so much flack about, how are you all sisters, and, how do you all do this, and she's the dark one and all of that. I'm like, I ain't dark skinned by a long shot, but whatever. But the one thing I think people should understand is there's so much controversy about how rough the dark skinned people have it, that they don't see that there's a problem, with light skinned folks. We don't always want to be in the house. I would rather be picking cotton than fucking master. You know what I'm saying? He's not necessarily my cup of tea either.
Wait,
But
wait, wait. What did you say? You would rather be picking cotton than fucking Master?
yeah, I don't
Problem
necessarily
is,
want to be
Master
in
was
the house.
fucking the field nigga, is what I'm saying. That's how you got to
No,
be light
I
to get in the
understand
house.
what you're saying, but girl,
Yeah, because you his daughter, so he wasn't fucking. Well, he might have been fucking you too, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah,
For the most part.
it's a perception that you got privileges and it's easier because you're in the house versus the people who are outside. Now, to those who are outside, they may feel it's worse. To those that are inside, may feel it's worse for them. You're never going to get a balance of who's right or wrong because it's really not about that. It's about them being able to understand that you're all one race, no matter where you're placed in the middle of this whole situation. I think
The
it's bad
reality is
on
we were
both
all
sides.
enslaved. I mean, we were all enslaved. We were all taken from where we were and separated from our family, our religion, our lives, all of those things. Yes,
Which is why
that
we
is
have
something
light
that
and
we do
dark to
have in
begin with.
common. That is something that we all do have in common. However, the mentality is that I don't know. I think it's easy. It's all. I kind of to minimize it a little bit. I'll liken it to people who they'll say to me, "Oh, I wish I had your ass," or whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm like, shit, if you had this motherfucker, you wouldn't want it. Like, you can have it, like, right?
Right.
Because people who have it have what other people want, aspire what other people want. They see it as better than what their current situation is. And the
Okay.
person who actually has that situation is like, this is some bullshit. And if we could switch places, I would, right? Which is the whole mentality that you were mentioning, Sporty, and saying, you know what, fuck, I'm in the house, so what? That still doesn't negate the fact of the struggle that I still have to go through. However,
Right.
the person that's in the field is like, not only am I in the field burning the fuck up, not getting any water, working from sun up to sundown, but after I done worked my whole damn day, from sun up to sundown, getting whipped, getting cut up my fingers and all this other stuff, now I got to deal with this motherfucker coming in here and fucking me too, against my will. You know what I mean? And
And I
so,
gotta eat scraps.
huh?
And I gotta eat scraps and shit like an animal.
Right. However, we see that the people that are living in the house, even though you still eating the scraps, but it's the better scraps. You get to
Right.
get the
Yeah.
leftovers
The
from what was
scraps
coming.
before it got there, cause you eating the garbage. Your shit still got a little meat on it. You doing that shit like when I eat behind my kids, cause they ain't finished this shit. That's what you get. So yeah,
Right.
exactly. But I'm gonna tell you how it's still inbred, no matter how subtle it is, because I hear us having this discussion, but Sporty was still adamant that I ain't black by no means. I ain't dark. She was
As
still
if that were
adamant.
a problem.
Yeah,
As if
yeah.
it were a
She was still adamant that she ain't dark by no means, and I'm in the middle because I don't know that I struggle with being light or dark, but I do know that people give being light way too much credit. You know what I'm saying? I think that
Wait.
me having light eyes and light skin might have got me a little bit more sex, because I can't use that word. But if I went in Hollywood, I can't get a role because I ain't black enough, because they want you to be black. You know what I mean? So it struggles on both sides. I'm just saying, people, you just got to be comfortable in your own skin, but that's the problem. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants what somebody else got.
But here's
Can
my
you
thing about
imagine?
all of this. Here's my thing about all of this to both of you all. It's that, if you're in the family, if you're looking at my dinner table as a child, I got half redhead, white Irish people on one side, and I got, African American, black people on the other side, and we're all a family. I don't know that there's a racial problem until I'm taught that there's, this is one color, this is another color. All I see is that this is my family sitting at the table. You know,
Mhm.
I don't get a glimpse of that till I go to school and my grandmother comes to pick me up, and they don't want to release me to her because they think she's some strange white woman coming to take this black kid out of school. So I see, everybody as one. I don't see, this is this color, this is that color, and I got a problem with them over here because they're white people. They're my family. They're not affiliated with what those people did 200-300 years ago.
But your perspective is different. Your perspective is different because you had that every single day in your face. But to somebody who, like Rob mentioned, I might have got this advantage by getting some more ass because I got light skin and light eyes, but if I go over here, this is, you're not black enough, right? But imagine this, Rob. What if you are black, like me, and you go in to an audition in Hollywood, and then they still tell you you're not black enough?
No, they just telling you ain't good. They can't use that.
No.
But if you talk proper and shit like that, yeah, because they stereotype.
This is real shit. Like, you put out a casting call for dark-skinned, black women to show up for an audition. I show up in an audition. I do great in the audition, and even told by the casting director. Problem is that, your features aren't ethnic enough. You're not black enough. What? I'm sorry. How black do I have to be now? Like, really, it's like, okay, I can't even just be black now. I got to be blacker than black. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you can't win. So imagine being in that position where you can't even win, being in a situation where they want what you are. I can't even win.
I mean, but didn't you have a situation like that where you weren't, or something about your hair?
That's what I was saying. That was my situation.
She's quoting it. So part of the underlying problem is we are allowing somebody else to describe or to characterize what we should be like, what black people should be like, and we actually buying into it and conforming and acting like we're not fitting the mold or not. You see what I'm saying? Because if people are aspiring to be lighter or to be more whatever that impression is, whatever society tells us is good or acceptable, then because I might look like I fall into that, then maybe I'm more accepted, so now I'm attractive to more people. But then if I want to play the role of my own, ethnic group, I can't do it because I don't fit the mold. I don't have nappy hair and fucking crusty shit. I actually put lotion on so I don't look right, or whatever they saying.
You moisturize.
Was that supposed to be ashy? Not crusty?
Yeah,
okay. I was trying to figure out
I don't know nothing about being that dark, Christian. So, KiKi, I'm sorry. I don't know nothing about that. So, no, I get ashy too. I use my lotion.
It just don't show up. It just don't show up like it shows up on me. It looks like I've been dancing in flour. Like I'm about to get jump in the frying pan. Right? It's true. Let me see if I can show you my leg now.
Don't bring your ankles up in here. Don't bring it. It's always the ankles. How come I'm gonna leave the ankles alone? You'll fucking put lotion on your toes because you want to be smooth and your heels, but you leave your ankles. What's up with that?
I don't leave my ankles. I don't understand why the ankle always. I don't understand why the ankle is the first to get ashy.
I don't know, but it's always the ankle.
It rubs up against your shoe. I know that's so random, but I don't know if it's because it rubs up against the side of your shoe, or you might have on an ankle bracelet, or the socks that rub. I don't know, but whatever the case. For those of you guys who just may be joining us, this is Playing Devil's Advocate. I am your host, Miss KiKi, the consummate provocateur. And I am joined by Sporty, Spunky, Angel, and the Rob Carter. And we are having a candid discussion on colorism, the intra-racial bias that happens within different races. And we've shared some of our own personal experiences. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, there's an interactive chat room right there. Jump right on in, sign in, start chatting away. Or you can post our Facebook wall at facebook.com/playingdevilsadvocate, or you can even send us a tweet at PDA_Miss KiKi, and we promise at some point we'll get your comment on air. They're saying in the chat room over here, please tell that Negro to stop saying white-skinned. Skinned.
See, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go with, I could do your little light-skinned or your light-skinned, but I go back to when we was red. They used to call me Red Bobby. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take liberties and say.
But that's how they can distinguish you from the other Bobby.
Huh?
It was the Black Bobby, I'm sure.
Yeah, the Black Bobby. Yeah, Black Bobby and Red Bobby. Yep. Yeah, if anybody know the apartments, not the apartments. Listen to me. The apartments on 46th and 47th Avenue, 183rd Street in Carol City. It was a black Bobby and me, red Bobby. So yeah, but we talking colorism. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm black enough. So.
Well, you black enough for this conversation. One of our chat room participants, he comes in all the time. Repeat offender says, my dude looked like Elvin from the Cosbys, and he drove around in stolen cars for years and never got pulled over by the police. I don't discriminate. He says discriminate. I don't discriminate against light-skinned people unless they act funny toward me. I discriminate against anybody that is stupid. I discriminate against stupid. That's just me. I don't care what color you are. I don't care male or female. I don't care gay or straight. If you're stupid,
then you're stupid.
You just gonna get kicked to the curb. Here's something. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sporty.
No, I was just thinking about the comment about the Elvin and the Cosby Show and stuff. I really used to have, here's a sporty revelation, a problem with deciding, who to side with, because by having both types of parents in the household. And so like when I would fill out paperwork and stuff, I always put human for my race because there was no box for me as far as I was concerned. I always felt like it was equal part this, equal part that. And like you joke with us now, you're quarter dark, you're half, you give us our order, our chicken order, and that's what we are, and I get it now, but it's just, people really do struggle with, what side do I pick? Who do I
That's because That's because society is comfortable with putting people in boxes. Why do you think it is an actual box that you have to check, right? They want people to fit inside a certain box so that it makes them feel comfortable. That's why I talk to you guys about labels. That's why I say when we talk about people, we don't call people names. That's one of the rules on the show, that we don't call people names, because we're calling people names because it makes us feel comfortable. It says nothing about them. It says more about us. So the fact that people want you to fit inside of a box says more about them not being comfortable with understanding that there is a variety of people, things, shades, and all of that out here, and it doesn't make one better or worse or less than or greater than the other. But we have bought into the white supremacist mentality that there are levels to human beings, how great they are. The funny thing is that there was a study done in 1990 by Hughes and Hertel, and in this study, they found that light-skinned blacks were more likely to have greater years of education, higher salaries, and more prominent jobs than their darker-skinned counterparts. And they also found that there was an educational gap in terms of attaining socioeconomic statuses between light-skinned and dark-skinned people. So it just kind of illustrates that even though we're hundreds of years outside of slavery, it's not just us that still have this slave mentality, right? Yeah. You have slave mentality and slave master mentality. Because if you think about, like, in the there was this saying that they used to have, if you're white, you're all right. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, get back. Now, this is shit black people said. Mm-hmm. Really? Black people?
You singing that shit while you jumping rope, so motherfuckers just keep it embedded in your head, huh?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And so you believe it. And I mean, it's just insane to me that people are still carrying this ridiculousness. I'll use my own personal example in terms of, like, my mom. My mom is lighter skinned than I am. And, people used to say little slick shit to her, about me being darker skinned. Now, my mama, she said to me a long time ago, I like my men like I like my coffee, hot, black, and strong, right? So, way too much information there. That's Miss Dorothy. That's a Miss Dorothyism. But, so my dad, of course, is dark-skinned. So, there was a lot of crap. I would even get it from my family. I remember, and I think I may have said it on the show before, there was a time, I was one of those kids that was very precocious, and I always wanted to be around the grown-ups. And so I would do little slick shit like come and lay my head in my mama's lap so I can ear hustle on the grown folks' conversation. Because you remember back in the day, when grown folks were talking, You are someplace else, right? You are not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But I would do little slick shit, act like I was sleepy, so I could put my head in her lap and she could, soothe me. Meanwhile, I'm gathering intel to run back and tell. So, my aunt was like, it was, how the families get together, fish fry, and play cards, talk shit, drink, listen to music. And my aunt was like, you need to go. She grabbed me and was like, you need to go in there with the kids. And my mom was like, no, she's okay. But she was getting more and more belligerent about it. And she said, and I remember because I was 4 years old, and I should tell you, everybody who knows me knows my memory sucks, but I remember this vividly. She said, that's why that little black bitch is spoiled. And before she could get bitch all the way out, I was almost on the floor, and my mom was up, and she's actually like beating the shit out of her own sister because, you know what I'm saying? She called me out my name, and it made reference to the whole skin, not the fact that she's tall, not the fact that she a brat, not the fact that you let her get away with things, or I'm questioning your parenting skills, but you're gonna make a reference about my child's skin color,
right?
Not on my watch. So much so that her own husband didn't even stop it. Right. He was like, "That's what I had to do." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. See, and that goes to show you, I mean, just the fact that she felt she had to defend it too. I mean, it just goes on both sides that, it's an indication that she recognized how wrong it was and the type of treatment that you were about to get in life. You know what I'm saying? So she defended it right away. But it is messed up, Now, what I think, though, because the problem is one that you can't really fix because it's just too broad of a problem. I don't know how you fix it. But what people need to understand, is my first takeaway, is you got to learn the system. Let's go back to that checkbox thing because I wanted to jump in like with my kids.
Okay.
You don't know what the fuck to check. They could check, they want to be Asian, you know what I'm saying? You want to be black. So I say, black people, do your whatever check, your DNA check, because you got all kinds of shit in you. Find out what works. Find out how to play the game. Find out where the most advantages are that you can actually claim legitimately, and check that box. So we can start working the system backwards. Because they want you in the box so they can do a bunch of things with you. Not just group you, but also discriminate against you or class you or hold you. Because they've got anytime they ask you some shit on a box, you tell them they put you in a group. Just know that ain't just for information. That's to put you in a group. So now you need to know the game before you fill it out. Know what's the best advantage for you. You know what I'm saying? What you can claim for grants and other shit, and and even being a super duper minority. You know what I'm saying? So that you could work that shit to your advantage.
Absolutely.
Because these little Asian gonna be Asian, huh?
Hashtag message.
Exactly. Because these little Blasian fools, they gonna be Asian on a lot of things. They gonna be black on some. They gonna be Asian on some.
Let's talk about some of the stereotypes and stuff and things that are out there. Like there's a stereotype that light-skinned, women are stuck up, and light-skinned men are elitist and or better looking. And then there's the stereotype that darker-skinned women are aggressive and angry and belligerent. I've always said that stereotypes are based in truth. They're an exaggeration. It's like a caricature. It's still you. It looks like you, but it's exaggerated. What do you feel about those stereotypes?
Well, I do look better. I mean.
Then what? Or who?
Go ahead, Sporty. I didn't mean to cut you off. I knew you were getting ready to go. I had
No. I mean, but see, and that's where I really draw the line. It's like, even if we do make a comment or something like that we look better, or or even feel like we look better than something to somebody else that's dark skinned or whatever the case. I don't be looking at their color. If I look better than you, I don't care what color you are. I look better. That's my opinion, and that's how I feel.
You want me to give it to you straight?
Nice. I know.
You want me to give it to you straight?
Sure.
I'm gonna give it to you straight. we look more like the society standard, what's being pushed out there for people to call good looking. So if I have a pointier nose and I have lighter skin, then I fit what is being pushed as beautiful or being pushed as attractive. So if that's what you see in the ads and that's what you see in the pictures and promoting different products and shit, and I fit that mode, then people are programmed to look at that and things that are closer to that as better or cuter or what should be, sought after, the look,
Mm.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of sought after, it is time for our producer's drink of the week. Everybody wants a piece of that. Ladies and gentlemen, oops, she did it again. All right. I'm going to do this drink of the week. I'm going to come back after the drink and talk about some things. And in a little bit, we're going to do our Ask PDA letter. Call your friends. Call everybody you know, because they need to hear this, and they need to give this lady some advice or their 2 cents. But I'm going to let Cousin Chan tell y'all about Oreo cookie.
Oh.
Hey everybody, tonight's drink of the week is an Oreo cookie. Tonight's drink of the week, we're going to use an ounce of coffee liqueur, an ounce of cream de cacao, an ounce of Irish cream, and a splash of vodka. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to carefully layer the coffee liqueur, the cream de cacao, and the Irish cream into a shot glass, and then top it off with a splash of vodka. And there you have it, an Oreo cookie. All right, guys, be safe, enjoy, drink responsibly. I'll see you next week.
What's that? When you can't get your body please. You need some love when you just can't eat.
All right.
See, that ain't even right.
It's not
What?
right.
Because she called my Oreo thing, we got this thing going, and she just trying to put it out there that, I like to see 2 dark-skinned women with me in the middle, and that shit is Oreo cookie, and that ain't even right on this racial color.
I don't like it because that's the name I used to be called as a kid, Oreo cookie, and I didn't appreciate it.
Well, this is what it looked like. I forgot to show y'all. I was jamming to it. This is what it looks like. It's a shot.
Oh, okay. So that do look like you, Sporty, so you can't even...
It looks more like you, Rob.
It looked more like you.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah, it does look like all my cute
Oreo,
things.
I was always called the chocolate covered white girl
Yeah, see.
from the neck up.
Yeah, because you were supposed to be indignant and you weren't supposed to be able to speak and shit, and so now you white on the inside because those characteristics were associated with somebody different. So that's what I'm saying. This whole, trying to class people based on society, that shit is crazy, man.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I still to this day, it's funny, and I'm putting him on blast, so if he listening, shame, well, good for you. But Chan's godbrother Ruben, to this day, he always calls me, he was like, you ain't nothing but a white girl. You lived in the hood. You ain't from the hood. You ain't black. He always say that to me, and I'm like, dude, how black do I have to be? Like, he's like, you don't know nothing. You're not black. You're not black. You're Oreo. You're inside out Oreo. And I'm like, no, he said I'm an Oreo. And I'm like, I'm not an Oreo. I'm black all the way through. I'm black all the way through. My experience may have been different from your black experience or your hood experience, but because I grew up in the hood, Rob, you know that.
That's why I want to jump in. I don't think your experience was no different. We ran the same streets in the same car, went to the same places. When we were together, we did the same shit. We experienced the same shit. So your experiences are the same. The thing is the mentality. If you don't act the way he thinks you're supposed to act like everybody else in the neighborhood, then you don't fit in. That's what he's saying. He ain't saying nothing else other than, wow, that's just strange to me that you can articulate and you ain't supposed to be. Or, and it may not be to that degree, but the bottom line is that's what's happening. That's the mentality. If you're not fitting in like everybody else in this little group, then now you somehow don't, you get exiled,
Go ahead, Chan. Yeah,
I muted myself. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, no. What I think he was saying was that no, his black experience is a whole lot rougher than what our black experience was. So no, KiKi did not live, even though we all did the same thing. We really didn't do the grimy black experience that he's talking about. He's talking about that low down. And me and you, Rob, probably did more grimy stuff than KiKi.
Mm.
KiKi did live the Oreo type life, though. You did.
What the fuck is that?
It's okay. It's all right. You were supposed to.
I just want to know one thing off the subject. How come ain't nobody call me and tell me my baby had an accident?
Oh, damn.
Because first of
That's
all,
that light skin shit.
I was on the road from the moment she told me, with no sleep, trying to get to my child. Let's start there.
Not
Secondly,
mine.
when I get back
Not
home,
mine.
I was
That's that light
upset.
skin entitlement shit. You talking about my child. Like he ain't, you know, what? Like he ain't here.
Right. Well,
She
I threw it right
did
back. I was trying to get to my child. You couldn't
Not
get
y'all
to her.
child. Not
You
our
couldn't-
child, but my child.
You couldn't get to her, so
Shut your little instigating ass up.
All right. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna start no
we gonna move on. Yeah.
on the show. All right, Chan. So I wasn't grimy, apparently. I wasn't grimy enough,
See,
apparently.
what is that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
Enough. That's why they talking about
what do you mean? What is it supposed to mean? Did I say something that wasn't English? She wasn't grimy.
Well,
She
clearly
wasn't
it
out.
wasn't English to me when you talk about it wasn't grimy, girl.
It wasn't.
So
She didn't
that's
grimy.
what I'm hearing. I guess what I'm hearing is there's a prerequisite for how black. We were trying to figure out how black you can be. I guess there's a prerequisite for real black. Real black is, you know, you've been through it, you know. Then you got, okay, you black, and then you just like got black blood, and then you something else, you know. I guess that's how it goes. Is that how it goes?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at our youngest child.
Mm-hmm.
She's black, but only in color.
White.
Everything else about her,
Yeah, she's white.
yeah, she's white.
Yeah.
Identifies white, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Definitely identifies as white. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and KiKi would probably be the same thing. Yeah, she lived some black experience, but not the black experience. She didn't get the whole thing. She got some. She got some aspects of it.
Look, I'm about to sound real racist, but all my friends are black.
Yeah, but all your friends didn't live the whole black experience. Neither did I. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I lived some of it. I knew what it was about, but I didn't live the whole black experience either.
No, but it's. I mean, I laugh at it, you know, and I poke fun at it because it's something that is, you know, forward moving in our conversation, because it's not just a reflection of me. I'm sure there are other people who are told that on a larger scale, that, like Louis said in the chat room, if you have some goals, some ambition, or upwardly mobile, you acting white. You know what I mean? Oftentimes that is the perception in the hood when you want something different. You know what I mean? So it's okay. I don't take offense to it at all on any level. I get it. I know what it's about. I know I was totally oblivious to all the shit that was happening around me. I was in a bubble. I'm clear about it. I'm completely clear about it. And that's okay.
Just because I wasn't in a gang doesn't mean I don't know about them. Just because I live...
But I don't know nothing about them. And it's the point for him was, I'm dark-skinned, so I should have more of a... Right, I should have more of a handle on it than someone that would be of a lighter. Like, for instance, when Chan or I are out, the inclination mostly wouldn't be that she would be the one to pop off. That's not what people think.
No.
When we were growing up and shit went down, nobody expected it to come from her. Nobody. But she was the one that was going to pop off and set shit off every single time. Merely because of the way that she looks. And the reality is that we got the game fucked up. And for as long as and here's hashtag message, nugget, whatever you want to say. For as long as we continue to buy into that, we are continually bleeding and breathing and fueling racism from other cultures, because we're saying to them that we think less of each other, so why shouldn't they? If you don't think I'm good enough, or I don't think you're good enough, and you just like me, they're not fighting amongst each other about who's whiter than white, who's white is better. You know what I mean? Why are we talking about who's black is better, or who's black, you know? So, I mean, the only time that went down was during Hitler, and we know that Hitler was a fucking, let's just, you know, he was, you know, something else altogether, you know, in terms of that, with the master race and all this other stuff. But the master race that he was attempting to create, we all know, if you know anything about biology and genetics, they're all fucking mutants. They were all, how you're going to have the people who have the weakest, they're the weakest of people, meaning the blue hair, the blue eyes and the blonde hair and all that stuff, that Aryan look, are actually people who are, those are birth defects. Those are recessive traits. So how would you put somebody who is the weaker of, if you had to put things together and there was a survival, the motherfuckers ain't gonna make it. They gonna make it.
But that's why they wanted to kill all the strong ones, so they could make it.
Right, exactly. But if the strong ones aren't paying attention, hashtag message, if we aren't paying attention, the same thing is happening. The same thing is happening.
We're paying attention, but intentionally trying not to do better because of how it makes us look.
To the other people.
Then we really fucking with ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Complete mindfuck. What I also think is interesting, though, when we talk about colorism, and not just the whole black and white thing, but it does filter into that whole thing when we talk about the Middle Passage and all that stuff. And you spoke about it when you were talking about the Creoles down here in the South and stuff. You know, I find it very interesting that in cultures, like in a lot of Hispanic cultures, and let's just use the Cubans or the Dominicans. Let's just use them for example. They suffer from the same colorism that we suffer from in our community, about the darker skin with the fuzzier, thicker, harsher, you know, more coarse hair, as opposed to the lighter, fair-skinned ones being treated differently, you know, in the family or in society and that kind of thing. And of course, like I said, you know, even though they're Dominican and Hispanic, so to speak, they're still us, because we were all coming from the same place. The boat just stopped sooner and let you off. You got off the bus sooner. You know what I mean? So I think that it's relevant and important that we that people understand it's not just the black thing. It spans a lot of different cultures, even in the Asian community. You know,
yes.
The more American, or American meaning white, that you look, then of course there's this whole superiority thing, you know, and it's amazing how that mentality has spanned across the globe, when at the end of the day, we're all the same. We bleed the same, we hurt, we cry, we live and die, we take a shit, you know what I mean, we eat, you know what I mean, all of those things. But because we have all bought and drank the Kool-Aid, you know, and we constantly spend our dollars on things that say to us we're not good enough. You know what I mean? And that's the scary part about it. It's so smooth how they do it now that we don't even pay attention to it. I was thinking about, like, the media and how they do things, and I was reading this article, and this guy was talking about that show, The Real, right? And he was saying how he was watching his wife was watching The Real one time, and he just, was like, well, what show is this? And he was saying that, he was looking at the panel of women, and they all look damn near the same, except for one, which is Lonnie Love. She's the dark-skinned one, and he was saying they had the other ladies all, either like bright damn near white or ethnically vague, or they were biracial or something other, right? There was the other box. And then you have Lonnie Love, the heavier set of the ones that are there, because they're all real thin, the European kind of body type. She's full-figured, but she's the comedian, so she's funny, as opposed, you know what I mean? They have her dressed all frumpy and not as flattering as they have dressed the other ones. And he's like, are you not paying attention to the message? Do you not see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I get it.
as if somehow she's less attractive or she has less to offer the conversation because of what she looks like.
And they do the same thing on what's the
And
other?
she's the clown. And she has to be the clown because, you know, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same on the top because they got what's her name, Cheryl Underwood, as
Mm-hmm.
their token.
Loud mouth, big lips, big nose, just over the top kind of thing. But we buy into it. You know, we buy into it. They were talking about how, excuse me, guys. I'm sundowning apparently. It's starting to catch up with me. They were also the discussion moved in the direction of like movies, and of course it went to Zoe Saldana and the Nina Simone thing, and it's like you would rather hire an actress who's not a musician, who is fair skinned, that you would have to basically put her in blackface and prosthesis to play someone who looks closer to what she looks like. What, especially, which is a slap in the face to someone who was all about her ethnicity and her being black and being proud of being black and all of that. So it's like, and you didn't catch that? They brought up concussion. Will Smith looks nothing like that doctor. You get this tall, light-skinned, charming guy. This guy is short, dark-skinned, and kind of, portly. It's like, what?
Right. How does he even fit that mold?
But we let it go, But when we playing stuff like musicians, like let's say Jamie with Ray, we could swallow that because that works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't invent
Usher and Sugar Ray Leonard. We can bother that. But the Mexicans were pissed off when they cast the Puerto Rican Jennifer Lopez to play Selena.
Selena, yeah. And I used to see so much, in that area, I used to, when I lived in Jersey, there was you had the big Puerto Rican and the Dominican problem. You could tell clearly that the darker skinned Dominicans, they would be like, you just like you one of them black Negroes or whatever. They would talk about them as if being black was bad. It's like, you're not one of us, so you could see that they had the intra-racial issues as well. And I see the same thing with the Asians when you say something, it's like, well, I'm not Chinese, I'm Vietnamese, or I'm not Vietnamese, I'm Korean, so they're very picky, or very clear about what they are and how they want to be addressed when spoken to. They don't feel like we're not all the same, and they don't accept it. I think, like you were just saying, we're very accepting of the way things are done within our race, and
right, how they
we're
depict
so
that.
accepting, that it continues, and then it also allows other people to continue to make that gap even wider because we don't work as a unit.
Here's what I find interesting. They mentioned Coming to America. And I never really paid attention to it till I was a little older. But it was very interesting to me because I think Vanessa Calloway is absolutely stunning, right? I think she's absolutely stunning. And you think about it, they were saying that, Eddie Murphy has this woman who has been groomed to be everything that, any man would want the wife to be. She's beautiful. She's, got a nice body. She comes from a good family. She's, she's cultured. She's this. She's going to be there for at your beck and call, but she's dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the movie, who does he end up with? The light skinned woman. But nobody paid attention to that. Then you look at the dynamic between the sisters. You have, Shari Headley, and then you have the other sister, right? The light skinned and the dark skinned sister. But the dark skinned sister is ghetto and ratchet and promiscuous, and all of this, but the light-skinned one was very refined and, being groomed to marry somebody who was upper echelon and upwardly mobile, but the darker-skinned sister just kind of got left out, to do whatever. Nobody paid attention. It wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, but we didn't even pay attention to that.
Right.
Why did we pay attention? We didn't pay attention to it because it was a black person making the movie. Had it been a white person making the movie, we'd have been all about it.
We'd have dissected it bit by bit. What does this mean? Or why did they do that? Or what are they trying to say by doing this part? So yeah, I absolutely get that. That makes a lot of sense now when you look at it from that perspective, you know. And even though they grew up in the same house, same parents, you know, and same everything, but you can definitely see that they're their own personality. They're their own person. You know, she chose to have her hair natural as opposed to, you know, relaxed or long or weave or whatever the case may be in her case. But, you know, it made it okay to be that way. And that's what I think the big problem is that we accept whatever it is that is given to us, and we don't press, you know, we don't push back.
No, we don't. Like we let them darken O.J. Simpson for the Time magazine cover when he was on trial for murder. They made him darker to make him seem more sinister. That's the idea, that somehow the black man, the darker skinned man, is more opposing and you know what I mean, threatening, and the lighter skinned man is less threatening. If you think about this, just like these images, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm Viv, dark skin. They replaced her with a light skinned woman. Why wouldn't you cast her with someone that was similar to her?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, right? My Wife and Kids, the the middle daughter, right? The first girl was dark skinned. They recast her for the light skinned Jennifer. Light skinned, curly hair, long, you know, ethnically vague. She don't even really look like she belonged in their family, but she was light skinned, right? Same thing like on Family Matters. Remember the wife, she was darker skin, and then they replaced her with the other one. It's like, okay, do you not think I see you? We're invisible to you? Do you not think I see this?
And then when you brought up Family Matters, do you notice how the little sister just disappeared?
Disappeared?
The little dark-skinned sister, she just...
Yeah, but they were all dark-skinned on that show.
No, but she was the little bitty dark-skinned girl. She just completely disappeared, period.
Eddie's darker than her, so I didn't take... I always wondered where the hell she disappeared to. Like, did she get hit by a car and disappear? But I never thought of that as a race issue because everybody on that show, what's his name? Reginald Bell, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He was dark-skinned. The mother was dark-skinned. The boy, what's his name? Darius McCary. He was dark-skinned. You know, so all of them, that didn't catch me as a racial thing. It was just like, well, what the fuck happened to her? Like, how did you think I didn't see that she was here? You know what I mean? But it just says to me in a lot of ways that we, like you said, we don't push back. We don't get upset. We don't fight back. We don't say, you know what? These are not the images that we want depicting us. I mean, Lil' Kim, you know, she went through this whole identity crisis because she ain't even dark skinned, but because guys told her she wasn't pretty because she wasn't light skinned, she done now turned into some white lady that looks like a cat. I don't even know who she is anymore.
Right, she definitely does not look like herself at all.
It's like, I don't even know. And you had the blackest name ever, Kim Jones. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know who you are anymore, Kim. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you know, but we buy into that, and then we go and change ourselves to fit into a mold that was not supposed to fit us in the first damn place. You know, we used to get made fun of for having a big ass. Janet Jackson had a big ass all her goddamn life, but it was popular. It was okay when Jennifer Lopez had one. Like, what the fuck? Janet been rocking ass for years. Like, but now it's okay when someone else has it, and white women are going out and buying it, and people are dying, getting concrete put in their asses to have an ass that you tried to make us feel bad about.
Man, I will give y'all
lips too. Don't forget the lips. Don't forget the Botox and lips and shit.
I don't understand why people would want to buy this shit and carry it around on purpose. I do not get it. Take my boobies, please. Have at them.
But see, typically, think about it. The whole thing is boobs is more of a white man thing, a white girl thing, and ass is more of, you know what I mean? Those are the stereotypes that we buy into. Mm-hmm. So you fit where you're supposed to fit. You got boobs. You white. You supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, also when you were talking
miss it?
about,
I didn't miss the dark ass white girl over there.
So so bogus. And then I got, people get called names. I know this one girl, she literally tried to kill herself. We were in because of where she lived. Her name was, well, I won't say her name, but because this is when we were at Evanston Township. So, that's a small town. There was only one high school, everybody knew everybody. So everybody's family knew everything. She found out the same time that I did that my parents, my mom, my dad was having an affair with her mom, and we found that out in the lunchroom at school. So people began to make fun of, the relationship between my white dad and her black mom, and it's going down, and so they start making fun of us, like, well, what kind of babies are they gonna have, and all kind of stuff. Not that my mom, Marlene ain't got pregnant, but it was just a matter of they felt like she was out of place, so she was being taken over. They start calling my dad master, and he found him a modern day slave woman. It was like a really big nightmare, to her, and it got to her to the point where she was like, I can't take it anymore. And the girl tried to off herself because she felt like this white man was turning her house into a plantation, and all kinds of stuff, just based on what they're saying in the lunchroom.
Yeah, that's some crazy.
In the lunchroom. And this is from our peers and teenagers. This isn't even adults. Kids are horrible.
Well,
But
here's
here's
the
the thing
problem.
about kids. Kids will fuck with you about anything. Anything that's different about you, kids are gonna make fun of. So if you got one short leg, they gonna talk about your goddamn one short leg. If your eye veer to the right, they gonna talk about that shit. So it don't really matter what it is. Kids are the worst.
Yeah, they are.
And they don't know no better, because they gotta be taught better. Like, even my kids, when we talk about racism, I mean, they were describing people still as, the brown guy or this. They didn't really identify with race until now that they're in school. You know what I'm saying? And now we have to explain more. So, I mean, it took a minute, before they even dealt with color. It was, the brown dude over there and the other dude over there, they were describing them by literally colors, you know what I'm saying? Not by race,
Yeah.
And I mean,
reference to that at the baby's at her preschool, because she got in the car one day and she was like, I have a new white friend, and I'm like, a what? And it just kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, okay, you have a new friend at school? She's like, yeah, no, they're white. I said, well, it's just a friend. They're no different than your other little girlfriend. She says, no. She's a white girl, and she's my friend. I said, okay, well, that's good. And I kind of left it at that. And so I hear the teachers talking, oh, look, here comes, Miss Johnson. She's raising an AKA at 4 years old already. Okay, granted, that might be true, but what the hell does that have to do with what's going on in your school? And y'all having those kind of conversations around the children. She don't know what the hell an AKA is right about now. She don't know all of that.
Yeah, that I mean,
that's too much, I think, for little kids to have to tolerate.
Under what circumstance would the child have been hearing that, though?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so I mean that's something, that's something different. But what we have to do is be more conscious about the messages we send at home, because a lot of times when we're sitting and we're watching TV and stuff, we don't realize some of the shit that we say, in front of these children.
And what they see, because I didn't have to start explaining race to my kids just when they went to school. It's in the media when they hear about these shootings and this and now Simone is talking about police and black people. You know what I'm saying? So now I have to deal with that in a delicate fashion. So it's what we allow them to see too. Certain shit. We have to monitor the exposure. I'm not saying shelter your kids, but I'm saying explain this shit so that you can help tailor how they perceive and digest the information, based on allowing a juvenile mind, an undeveloped mind, to hear it and be directed by the media.
Right, because a lot of times what we're saying is based on our own personal experience, and it's laced with, fear, anger, regret, bitterness, whatever it is based on our experiences. So we have to be careful the fingerprints that we leave on them when we're exposing them to stuff. And we don't even realize it. It's not like sometimes it's overt, but a lot of times it's very covert, and we don't even realize we're doing it. Go ahead, Sports.
I was just going to say, I noticed the fact that, even the smaller children pay attention to what it is we see or say. And even though I monitor, the television time and all of that stuff, when the kids are in camp, I'll never forget the conversation that Mimi and Maya had about the presidential election and why Donald Trump shouldn't be president, and why one thought, well, why can't he be president? And they were really into it with each other, not fighting, but they were having a debate about, well, if they're president, then this is going to happen. Well, then what's wrong with the president we have? And I'm sitting there looking at them like, what are y'all talking about? Well, who are you going to vote for? It's the question they posed to me. And I'm like, well, so for me to be sitting talking to 2 4-year-olds about our upcoming presidential election and explaining to them at their level, my opinion about who I feel should and shouldn't be president was a challenge for me. Because I never had to talk to my kids about the president at 4 years old.
But they're exposed to way more now.
Yeah, they're exposed to a whole lot more. Let me touch on one thing you just skirted on. We have to be careful, like you said, what fingerprints we leave on them, and sometimes it can be subtle or whatever. Here's the thing, though. It is going to be based on our experiences, and we are going to communicate. I'm assuming people are communicating not out of any, the bias. I'm hoping is genuine for the good of the kid. Okay, so if we assume that it's for the good of the kid, and I just thought of this, but I'm raising girls, and I'm going to talk to them like the subject about like Simone and the police. I'll talk to them one way, but if I was raising a boy in the same house, he'd have a different discussion. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe the preparation has to be different for him to some degree. And I wanted to touch on that because even though we're trying to fix the problem, some of us, or at least broaden the perspective of our children, I think his preparation is going to be or need to be different based on my experience. You know what I'm saying? Which will hold some bias, which will also put him on guard where maybe he doesn't need to be on guard. But at a teen age and going out, I have no choice if I want him to make it back safe. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, there's a way to still do that in an age-appropriate way and say in terms of, this was daddy's experience. You may not encounter it, but if you do, this is, how you handle it, those types of things. But most people don't go that extra step and say that extra thing. They just spew their venom, and then the kid takes on that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it could, anything, even like when you, like, let's, for example, I'll take it back a few years on the Housewives, Basketball Wives. And they were having this conversation, and it was Tammy Roman, who we know is fair-skinned with green eyes, who was on The Real World, whatever, right? And then there was this other girl who was darker-skinned. And she said to her, some, with your black ass, blah, 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 right? And the girl took offense to it. And so there was this big uproar about how inappropriate it was for Tammy to say that to her. And, Tammy's reaction to it all is like, anybody who's black know that we have that conversation. But the argument is it's different if it's saying to a dark-skinned person saying it to a dark-skinned person, or your mama saying it to you. Get your black ass over here. You know what I mean? Your mama ain't referring to your skin color, but a light-skinned person calling me a black ass, that's like a white person calling me a nigga. You know what I mean? Because there's no other way for me to take it, especially if we're in a confrontation. I can't take that in no other way other than you mean it in a negative way, right? But a lot of people, including Tammy, didn't get it because she went on to say, well, I mean, while I have no problem, well, I didn't mean it like that, and I'm not, biased, whatever, blah, blah, blah. What am I, my daughters are brown. Bitch, you didn't say brown. You said black. You know what I mean? It's like, you have to be clear about what you said here. Clearly, you refer to your daughter as brown because you want to uplift your daughter because she's darker skinned than you, but it's okay to call somebody else's daughter a black ass and, you know, demean her, but say, no, I didn't mean it like that. It was a cultural thing. No, no, no. We in this culture also know when somebody refer to your black ass, they know what they saying. Right? We know what that means. They're fighting words.
Right. That's true.
They're fighting words. And why are they fighting words? Why?
Because it's an insult. I mean, and it's meant
an
to
insult
be.
for somebody to say your black ass when you black?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know fighting words. I would tell you to bring your chocolate covered ass over here in a minute and not be worried about what you thought about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but look who it's coming from. That's the other thing. You calling KiKi or me calling KiKi dark skin or black ass or whatever, you know, that's we're not coming at her even if we mad at her in that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? If it's some stranger walking up to KiKi with your little short black ass, you know, they mean that to be hurtful and spiteful and evil. You know, if I say your little short black ass getting on my nerves, she gonna be like, the hell would you have have whatever she called me, whatever name she used, you know, and it's not meant to be confrontational. But people who specifically say, you know, I'm gonna kick your yellow ass, or, you know, this your little black self, this or that, or whatever the case may be, that's meant to be confrontational or hurtful if it's coming from somebody inside your race.
You want to know what's funny, Sporty? And not to minimize your struggle.
Nick.
But to hear somebody say, I'm going to kick your yellow ass, does not have the same impact, right?
To you.
No, wait, let me finish. Wait, let me finish. I said I don't mean to minimize it. But what I'm saying is, it's kind of like when a black person call you nigga, you only come back as cracker. It's not the same, or honky. It's not the same. So to hear somebody say, I'm going to beat that yellow bitch ass, it just sounds like a description. It don't sound like it's a derogatory kind of like, you know, you just tell me what she looks like.
So why can't yours just be a description?
I get it. I know. That's why that was my point in saying I don't mean to minimize what you're saying, because I'm seeing it through a different lens, because when color is referred to someone who has more color, right, it has always been a negative connotation. You know what I mean? So for them, when somebody says something about black or, you know, something like that, then it's like, because you've had to listen to that your whole life, and it's never come in a friendly manner. So for me to hear somebody call somebody yellow, it's like, really, that's the best you got? Like, you can't come up with, can you find something else to talk about? You know what I mean? Like, about that person to, like, demean them. You know what I mean? If you try to get at them, can you dig at something? Can you say lazy-eyed bitch? You know what I mean? Because that digs, that's hard. You know what I mean? Can you say something about, you know, bucktooth bitch? You know what I mean? You remember that phrase, bucktooth? You know?
Now, the only thing I think I've ever taken offense to is, like, if I'm away or I'm on a vacation or whatever, you know, I like to tan evenly. So I'm like, I'm going to go out and get some sun or whatever. And they like, you ain't black? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I want to get a tan? Why are you trying to be black? I don't understand what you mean by that.
Wait, who said, why you trying to be black?
People have said, why are you trying to be black? Anytime I say I'm going to get a tan or I'm working on my tan or I'm going to give you some sun, why are you trying to be black? I was black before I got a tan. Why I can't decide that I want to go out and, you know, this is something I like to do. This is for me. This is what I do. What's the problem with that? Only white folks are the only people who are supposed to go get tans?
And why does tanning have to be associated with motherfuckers trying to be something that they ain't? How come people can't just want to look like a certain way? Why they just can't want to be tan for the summer? Because you're gonna get tan. So if the sun is gonna make me darker, why wouldn't I just want to be dark all over? Since I'm gonna be out there, I might as well be. I don't want to be spotted. I don't want to be a fucking, you know, a zebra motherfucker or a leprechaun. I mean, whatever got stripes, a zebra or a fucking jaguar was spotted with all these fucking colors because I got clothes on. I want to be out and I just want to look even. You know? Because
he can't be in Mandalay Bay, you know.
Right, I got to be even. I got to take off my shirt.
He got to be a bronze Adonis at the Mandalay Bay while he said it.
Yeah. But I got to be wanting to be somebody now. I got to be wanting to be Tay Diggs and shit because I want to get a motherfucking tan.
Well, it depends on how dark you trying to go. Because at some point, you know, if somebody say, like if I were to say, I was using a bleaching cream, a fade cream, or something like that. Why are you doing that? You trying to be lighter? No, actually, I'm trying to make the shit even. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't want to be uneven either. You know what I mean? So, not that that's something I do, but again, it's always we focus so much in this society about the exterior as opposed to focusing on the interior. And I know that one of the first things we do is see people. So it's not missed on me that we see people, and so that's how we view them. But I implore us all to look a little deeper. I know that there's some people that is so ingrained in them that it's very difficult for them to get out of it. And even so, like, you know, I think Chan may have mentioned it one time in a conversation we was having. She was like, the generation that it really makes a big difference to hasn't completely died off yet. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And when that generation dies off, then to some level it may balance out. You know what I mean? Because you got people like Nell, we talked about your younger daughter, who, you know, for the longest we had a conversation with her about her white friends using the word nigga. We was like, no, that's not okay. That's not okay. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's just a word. Yeah, you don't understand that until it's been, you know, used to you in a way where it's negative or derogatory.
Yeah.
You know, so
still don't really know nothing about none of that.
Right, that's not your reality, but to be told that you can't come in this way, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, or the expectation is that that's not possible because of blah blah blah, because of the way you look, and it's like, the way I look, the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Let me read something that's going on in this chat room. Hold on. They're saying, oh, Chan was saying that she was one of the people who didn't understand the uproar about Tammy Roman. I tried to explain it to her, but she was sick. She didn't get it. They said being brown is frowned upon by everybody, even us. Being black, I'm sorry. Because black people in general aspire to be lighter, meaning good, not darker, which is bad. They don't sell millions of dollars of skin bleaching cream, billions actually, for nothing. How much skin darkening cream do they sell? Actually, it's not skin darkening. It's called suntan lotion. Mm-hmm. That's a $1 billion industry as well. In addition to tanning salons, where people are going and doing that, you know. So, you know, there's always something, you know. I think that white women or white people, you know, even in that kind of hatred, you know, you hate something so much you love it, because there's a very fine line, and we know that psychologically speaking, there's a very fine line between love and hate, and it's just not a saying or a euphemism. There is a very thin line between the two, and so in that, what they were being brought up to believe was bad, right? Think about it. Their slave mentality. Reverse it. You're Missy in the house, and your husband is creeping in the quarters to fuck your damn slaves. What does that say to you? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That you're not even good enough. So maybe
she's saying that ass a little bit better, so now I want a big ass and I want a brown skin. Maybe I'll get the same attention and he won't have to go and deal with her. That's why you got, and it's from both sides. It's so funny. Nobody gets to see that they trying to be this way and we trying to be that way. It's just, oh man. And it's crazy. Even in the community, if we go back over there, they all want to be white. They all lighten. You know, they be tripping. My daughters, their other family over there, they think they ain't cute. They dark and they this and they that. You know what I'm saying? I told my wife.
They're absolutely flipping beautiful, but you know that's
but that's
people. Fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's up here, you know, because people, you know, and I didn't realize it until I got older. When my grandmother used to take me and my sister to the store, we would go to, y'all know the area Bridgeport and how it was back in the day. So she would like to go to that Dominic's in Bridgeport, but she would always have me and my sister stay in the car. And I never understood why we couldn't go in the store with her, you know. And, you know, she said, well, it'd be better if you all just sit here. I'll be right back out. I'm going to grab a few things. So we were sitting in the car, you know, chilling, waiting for her to come back. But she couldn't take her black grandchildren into this white racist community of Bridgeport. You know, they're looking at, well, why does this redheaded white lady have these two little black kids with her. And that would have been a problem with her shopping in that area, back then. And then I'm not hood enough because, you live in Hyde Park somewhere, or you over there on 42nd Indiana. You don't live in the hood, so you don't have enough experience. The projects was 4 or 5 blocks away, even though I have friends there. You don't belong over here. You not our kind. So it's like people tend to take where you grow up, the type of school you went to, that they assumed I was a Kenwood person because I lived in the neighborhood and I wasn't, but it's just like, you have to remember, people feel like if you don't do the same things or grow up the same way, or you have more of this or more of that, from somewhere else, or you speak better, looks like KiKi, she's a grammar Nazi. Why shouldn't she know how to spell? Why shouldn't she want things to be sent to her in a language that she understands on a regular basis, versus the slang and the shortening and the way, people have gotten lazy with the English language today. And it's not just African American people. Everybody has gotten lazy with it. But they don't choose to see it. They see it as, that's how the black people talk, so I'm going to talk black. Or the black people are trying to talk white. That's that, like she said, that's that mentality they have with that bullshit.
but everybody, but like I said, it's cyclical. I mean, it's circular. But it affects everybody in one way or the other. But black people seem to think that we're special in some way, that it's harder on us than anybody else. I mean, and from just like, let's just break it down like a fraction.
Okay.
Dark-skinned people think their struggle is a little bit more difficult than a light-skinned person. Meanwhile, we're just a small microcosm. Hey!
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right? We're just a small microcosm that exists, right? But we're not looking at it in the big scheme of things, where everybody from where they come from are dealing with something too. Our problem isn't bigger than their problem. It's still the same problem. It's just that I think it's more important because it's happening to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but I'm talking about me right now. I don't care about what, but me. This happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, when we talk about the hashtag Black Lives Matter and everybody's like, all lives matter. Yeah, we know that. We ain't talking about all lives right now. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. Can we have a conversation about me right now? What'd you say, Cordy?
Yeah. I'm just saying, they don't understand the difference between, we get that all lives matter, but in this instance, we're being specific that Black Lives Matter. I think they should have put the word "to" at the end of it, because it's like you haven't included Black people in all lives matter.
But I think by saying "to" minimizes it on some level too. You know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, look at me, like you somehow kind of left out stepchild when you aren't. It's like, no, Black Lives Matter. Period. Not "to." Period.
Well, see, the thing is, in the media and everything else likes to twist up, but that was the topic and the issue at hand, because we were talking about the recent spur of black killings. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it was a black issue. That's why we were talking about Black Lives, because that's what was in the forefront, and that's what they show us too. When we did the show, the statistics show that a lot more whites were being killed as well, more than even the blacks. But they want to show us that because they want, I believe that if you focus on things, you continue to want to separate yourselves. You continue to want to look at the wrong problem and the wrong issue. So we continue to allow them to fuck us mentally, and that's the key. We need to stop allowing that shit. Period.
I don't think we're allowing them to do anything. We've taken over the wheel now. They're on autopilot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They've done the work. It's pretty much cruise control right now. We're not allowing them to do anything. We're doing it to ourselves. Yeah. Every single day. Every single day. We allow ourselves to be put on TV to act like damn coons. Love and Hip Hop, The Housewives, all this other stuff, right? We want to make, like I was offended when Kenya Moore first came on to the Housewives of Atlanta. And part of what I felt some kind of way about was the fact I'm like, okay, she's the first, like, other than Candy, right? She's the only first, like, real dark-skinned girl on the show.
Right.
I said, but why she got to come in and be the one that's the bitch, the stereotypical, you know, mess starter, blah, 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 to perpetuate the idea that this is how we all are. You know, you may look different because you have, you know, naturally long hair or this, that, and the other or whatever, but the reality is that you're behaving like they say we behave.
And trust me.
It was saddening.
Yeah, and trust me, people believe what they see on television. Because I'm going to go back. I went over to Hong Kong and Asia and all that shit, and in the Philippines, my wife's father gave me a letter. She sent me a letter. And in this letter, I started reading it. I got this shit. I should pull it out. And he says, and you were nice and all of this and blah, blah, blah. And then he started apologizing for all of the shit that I had to deal with in my life. You know, like, and he's going from what he see on TV. I'm reading this like, I ain't never had to deal with some of this shit you implied. You know what I'm saying? But the perception of black people, I mean, he was nervous. He was afraid when his daughter said that she married a black man, she got kids by a black man, and we coming over there. They ain't know what to expect. Right. I guess they expected me to have my pants halfway down and start smacking them motherfuckers, calling them all kind of shit when I walked in the door. You know?
Not that you above that.
You know, I'm supposed to come in all kinds of ways. So all I'm saying is, we allow that. We make our check. We do what we do, but we also create an image to other people when we accept that role, when we act that way, when we depict ourselves in a way that's different than what we do and who we are. We need to understand that message gets accepted from people because they don't have black people, you know what I'm saying, in any degree or population. You know what I'm saying? They've got military babies that were left. You know what I'm saying? That are dark. That's what they got. Yeah. But those are still Asian folks. So anyway.
In the chat room, Rocky says, how do shades of women behave? Are there stereotypes based on complexion? Yes, there is. There is. The stereotype, we talked about it a little earlier, is that they think that, you know, lighter skinned women are entitled and uppity and this, that, and the other. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're aggressive and we're combative and we're all these things that are negative. You know, that is the imagery that has been perpetuated and people have bought it. And just like Rob said, if you've never been around black people and you don't know what black people, that's all you know is what you see on TV. It's got to be true. It's on TV, just like people. It's got to be true. It's on the internet, right?
Exactly.
So if you see it, that's what you think. And then when you come into contact with it and it's something contrary to what you thought it was, like his father-in-law, it's like, oh, wow. No, it's not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens all the time. You know, TV can be your best PR or your worst PR, you know? And we have to be better stewards over our PR people. And we haven't been. We've allowed other people to create the narrative for us. We've allowed other people to draw the caricature of us, and we accept that caricature as our own.
That's what I was saying earlier. We don't have any pushback. We don't, say this doesn't work. This is not what I'm going to take. This is not what I'm going to, accept, So I like what Wes just said, just like in school days.
Yeah, it is funny he mentioned that, the Jigaboos and the Wannabes. And Rob, you was around during that time. But when I was in high school, we put on a musical, and we did a thing from School Days. And in high school, I had longer hair or whatever. I just recently got it, after high school, I was like, cut this shit off, right? But in high school, I had the long hair or whatever, and I was like, I'm not going to be a jigaboo. Like, that's not going to happen, right? I'm like, no, not going to happen. Yeah, I'm not going to be a jigaboo just because I'm dark-skinned. I'm going to be on the Waterby side because clearly y'all think everything about me fits this stereotype except for my complexion. So what according to y'all. So I'm gonna be a wannabe. So that was so hilarious to me, which actually gave it a little bit more depth that a lot of the people who would be stereotypically put in the jigaboo section were not jigaboos. You know what I mean? Because it was like, yeah,
you notice how you're one of those exceptions.
I'm not though.
But I'm saying, but to the people on the outside looking in, you're an exception, and you're an exception because you're not expected to be on the wannabe side. You're expected to be on the jigaboo side. So to even see you portray something like that, hell, like you said, us belong to the same sorority, that's unheard of. You don't belong in my sorority. That's the stance
when do we
expect me to take.
But when do we wake up? The president's wife is dark skinned. When do we wake up? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then, wait, no, here's the funny part about that. Then you got dark skinned people saying she ain't dark skinned, she brown skinned. So it's like less of dark skin, where it's like you're not even dark enough to be dark skinned. Because Chen and I had a conversation about this. We were talking about, because people were talking about Gabrielle Union being dark skinned and Megan Good being dark skinned. I was like, where? In what world are they dark skinned? Like, I don't understand how Megan Good is dark skinned. Yeah, if you compare her to blah, 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 yes, she would be. But if you put her next to me, not so much. You know what I mean? So it's interesting that it's even levels in there. Like, they ain't dark skinned. You know, Chen and I go back and forth about that all the time. She's like, yeah, well, so-and-so is dark. And I'm like, who? Who's dark? What are you talking about? That person ain't dark skinned. You know, so it's interesting, the levels. But light skin is light skin. But there's levels to dark skin. So it's light.
And I believe that's going to be associated with the person's insecurities and their fucking crutch as to why they didn't be successful. So you got these successful dark-skinned people, but they ain't darker as enough. So I still have different challenges than they did. You know what I'm saying? I can't be expected to accomplish the shit because they are half a shade lighter than me. You know what I mean?
Well, she's lighter than me, and she got baby hair that's natural. She don't have to use gel on her baby. You know what I'm saying? It's always something. You know, but you know, I'm so happy that I've had the people in my life that they've always encouraged me in spite of what society has said, you know, in terms of complexion and, you know, society's views on people who look like me. And when Sporty says things about, like, you know, you're the exception, or I've even had men say that to me, or even at that casting when they were like, your features aren't ethnic enough. I'm like, what the fuck? My dad is from Alabama. My mama's from Mississippi. What the fuck other features do I need? You know what I mean? Like, really. But I don't think of myself as the exception. I see plenty of me everywhere I go. And for me, I'm just happy that I had that people, you know, those kind of people around me who didn't try to belittle me or say things or whatever. I mean, and the funny thing is that all of my family used to make fun of me and said that I was color struck in the sense that none of my friends were dark skinned. You know, they're like, oh, yo, for everybody you hang out with is light skinned. Then I look around and then I'm looking at you and I just cheer and I'm like, I don't pick them, they pick me. And even in grammar school, growing up, you know, my best friend was a white, you know, a Jewish girl, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and then I think about, like, even like my boyfriends, they used to try and say that all my boyfriends were light skinned, but I'm like, look, you like who like you. It just not happen that light skinned dudes was checking for me. Dark skinned brothers wasn't checking for me. They was checking for, like, Becky with the with the good hair. They weren't checking for me.
Not Becky.
But now it's a total flip. It's like, you know, I don't know, dark skin is in, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Like it ever was out, but whatever. It is time for our Ask PDA letter.
All right.
And y'all, this one is
heard it's supposed to be good. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm really curious to hear this one.
This one is a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. So let me go ahead and play this disclaimer so we can talk all about it.
Okay.
At some point, you will be offended by something said on our show, but Playing Devil's Advocate is meant to be a forum for open, honest, and more importantly, judgment-free dialogue. The opinions expressed here may not necessarily be those of our hosts or the show in general, but we're willing to have the uncomfortable conversations so that we can heal and find solutions for our listeners and quite possibly ourselves. Enjoy the rest of the show.
You want answers?
Want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Today's Ask PDA letter is being brought to you by our producer's drink of the week. If you have not had an opportunity to check out Oreo Cookie, now is the time. You can go to facebook.com/Playing Devil's Advocate. Click on the link, try the drink, and let Cousin Chan know what you think. Again, this is the time for our Ask PDA letter. If you want to be featured in our Ask PDA letter segment, all you have to do is send an email to pda.radio@gmail.com, and in the subject, put Ask PDA. If we select your letter, we will reply back and let you know when your letter will be featured on the show. So pda.radio@gmail.com, Ask PDA. All right, guys, here's the letter. Dear PDA, I need your advice on how to handle a situation. My sister has 2 children, one by a previous marriage and one by her current husband. Her first husband is black, and after that marriage ended badly, she swore she would never date another black man. Suffice it to say, her current husband is white. If you've been following along, you figured out that she has a black daughter and a biracial son. When she divorced her first husband, my niece was 10, and a year later, my nephew was born. She's 17, and he's 6. And he's 6. I'm telling you all of this to give you some background on the situation. Ever since my nephew was born, she treats my niece like Cinderella and my nephew like the second coming of Jesus, and it bugs the mess out of me. I've said something to her about it before, and she tries to blame it on the fact that I'm not a fan of her current husband. The fact of the matter is, I don't like him, but I like less the way she is showing favoritism between the children. And to keep it real, it's not just me who noticed it. My cousin thinks it's because he's a boy. My best friend thinks it's because he's the baby. And our mom, old school that she is, thinks it's because my nephew is very fair-skinned with green eyes and bone-straight hair, while my niece doesn't have any of those things. My niece is beautiful, but she doesn't think she is because my sister is always down on her about everything. I know she's hurting, and I'm hurting for her, and it saddens me as I type this letter. PDA fam, please help. Signed, Cinderella's aunt.
Wow.
I'm going to start with you, Sporty. Then I'll go to Rob, and I'll give my 2 cents.
Ooh, okay. Well, Cinderella.
Told you it was a doozy. I warned you.
Baby. Well, absolutely. That's discriminatory within the family, and she's absolutely out of order for that. Your niece needs all the support and love she can get, especially from you. If you're the person who's close enough to her to let her know that, she is beautiful, that she is, just as important as her brother, so that she doesn't begin to regret him as a sibling, because it's not his fault that she's being raised in that type of an environment. I would suggest if you're using the Cinderella stereotype, being the fairy godmother to your niece, that she does have an understanding of that she is beautiful, and that, she can do just as much as anyone else in this world, until someone can get through to her knucklehead mama that's not cool. And I think, all of them should have some form of family counseling or of some sort, some kind of way, so that the mother can differentiate between her children and her disdain for dealing with black men versus white men, and not take it out on her kids. I think that's another issue that needs to be tackled. There's a whole lot more in there, but start with that, and I'm sure my counterparts will give you additions to that.
Yeah, I do think there's some subtext there. I mean, bitterness from the first marriage is obvious. So, there's some association with the daughter and the first marriage, and then because And I mean, I'm not discounting the colorism aspect of it because of the white husband, and maybe the treatment is better and the kid being younger. There are some normal factors, but I think that the sister, you need to pull her to the side. I don't know how much she recognizes. I don't know how much is conscious, subconscious, but I think playing the role of the fairy godmother is something you need in your back pocket, because I mean the kid could end up scarred. I mean, this is a critical time for her. She's a teenager. Identity is big. You know, understanding who you are, being comfortable in your own skin. And she's not getting that kind of support from her mother, then she will be. You know, she's going to gravitate somewhere. I mean, that could be. She could end up in an unhealthy situation. Based on where she gets her support and comfort, you know what I'm saying? Or if she's even, I mean, worse, you know, she could, I mean, teenage suicides and all that shit's up when people don't feel that they have a self-worth or any reason to even live. So I think it's an issue that needs to be addressed immediately with your sister. And if for some reason you don't get an indication that that oh wow, okay, I see that and I can see how it can affect my kid, and you see some kind of change, then the support needs to be there. You do need to be that fairy godmother and try to, I don't know how the situation sounds like that you have access to her. Doesn't sound like you would be prevented from hanging out with her, taking her, you know, on the ice cream runs or whatever the hell y'all do, shopping runs, and helping build that, because she needs to know. Why are you laughing at me? But she needs to know.
This girl's 17 years old.
Whatever the fuck they do, you know. I mean, you know.
That's I get it. That's something Dad does with his mom. I get it.
Yeah, because hey, me and Nell went for gelato, and she 20 something. You know, we do that. You know,
20 something, not really. But that's a whole other conversation. Cinderella's aunt. While I do agree with everything that they have said to you in terms of playing the fairy godmother, and Rob is absolutely on point when he talks about the underlying issues of she's still dealing with bitterness and hurt. To swear off black men altogether because you had a bad marriage with one black man, and it sounds as if she intentionally sought out a white man to date, and that she, less than a year after being divorced, she was pregnant by said man, speaks volumes. What I will say to you is that, yeah, it might be because he's the youngest. Yeah, it might be because he's a boy. We do know mothers and sons. There's a different situation. However, daughter's not seeing those things. She's not seeing that mom is hurt from dad's, you know, the breakup with dad. She's not seeing, because that happened when she was 10 years old, right? It's formative years. She doesn't understand that, oh, mommies and sons have a different kind of special relationship. Oh, she might be able to understand, oh, he's the baby. However, that does not say to her why she's treated. The only thing that she can narrow it down to the common denominator as to why she's being treated differently, because apparently I wasn't treated this way before these people came along, this white man and this little mixed little boy, right? So clearly it's got to be them, right? So what you need to do is just constantly reinforce to her all of those good things about her, that she is special, that she is beautiful, that she's enough, and that, you know, even if you do need to have a conversation with her at 17 to let her know this has absolutely nothing to do with her. The way mommy is behaving and treating her and has been for the past 6 years or so, this has nothing to do with her. And so, as Rob said, yes, you need to stage an intervention with your sister. Your mama thinks the same thing you think. Y'all need to pull a coattail and not just have a, you know, I mentioned it to, what did you say? I said something to her about it before. Saying something to her about it before is something very different than driving the point home about why her behavior is manifesting itself in the way that it is manifesting itself and how it's hurting her daughter. Because saying to her, why do you treat them differently, doesn't address the real issue.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, so you need to be very pointed in your conversation with her, even if it makes her cry. because in making her cry, there's a breakthrough coming. Because anytime you're emotionally attached to something and you have an emotional reaction to it, then there's time for healing and growth. So, yeah, you need to be very upfront and frank with your sister. Frank, Bob, John, I don't give a hell who you are with her, but you need to be honest and truthful and tell her, hit her with the real. You can't sugarcoat this, because this baby's self-esteem, her choices in men, her behavior is at stake.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All of that.
They're saying she's telling her she's beautiful and she is significant of value. Is this more of a female issue like the Dark Girls documentary? I don't even know if it's a female issue. I think it's a race issue at this point. Mom is scarred. It's a hurt issue. Mom is scarred. She's hurting, and she's blaming anything black. And anything that reminds her of that, which would be her daughter, is a reminder every day of that bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And she thought she was running away from it by getting with white dude. But you can't run from your shit. It's going to rear its head again. Issues are like herpes. They may go away or, lie dormant for a minute, but they gonna come back on your ass. You gonna have an outbreak.
Yeah, you gotta solve them. You can't hide. You can't shun that shit under the rug.
And here's another thing too that came up in the chat room that I was gonna mention as well. I would like to know where the dad is in all this. Even though y'all had a bad divorce, is he not in this girl's life?
Yeah, because he could be the balance right there. He can also be the one that's
reinforcing all of the positive things and great things about her. Because trust and believe, it matters a lot with us girls.
Yeah,
it matters a lot.
Dad, and that's critical. That's critical in her future involvement with men. Because what I fear is that she'll be susceptible for manipulation based on where she is, emotionally. So dad needs
a guy that comes along and treats her halfway decent.
Yeah.
Even though he's a piece of shit, and using her, but he makes her feel special.
Right.
Yeah. Might even beat her. She used to abuse. You clearly are emotionally abusive, so she's cute. She's used to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're priming her to be Olivia. What's the song? Got distracted on the way to grandmother's house by the whispers of my date myself. A wolf in sheep clothing. Yeah, you grooming her to get lost and turned out.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
You're making her prime bait. So be very, very careful. You guys just continue the strong, positive women around her. Continue to be that for her.
Yeah, definitely needs a lot of supportive role models around her to let her know that she is, just as important as her brother is, and to make sure that there's no resentment between those siblings because they didn't do that. They're products of the environment that they're in. You want her to get some balance, especially now that she's 17, but she's getting ready to be out there in the world. So she really needs
and she probably can't wait to get the hell out.
I know.
She's gonna go fucking wild. She cannot wait to get the hell away. Because here's the thing: when she get away, she may never come back.
Yeah,
that's true too.
I wouldn't. I mean, being treated like shit. Why would you come back?
Yeah, she might not come back. Yeah. So again,
Rocky said in the chat room that women can be jealous of their own daughters.
But I don't. That's true. I don't think that's the issue here.
I don't either. I think it's about her mom's internal hurt. And she's taking a lot of it out on her daughter. I really think
she sees that dude every time she sees that kid,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And it reminds her of that pain. Like she said, it was a bad divorce. It reminds her of that every time she sees that little girl's face. And for the past 6-7 years, that little girl has been bearing the brunt of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So 10 years she wasn't, 7 years she has been, so hopefully everything didn't undo what was up to that point. We don't know how much damage you had done to her before.
Right.
Because you were mad at her daddy. You know what I mean? We don't know. Those are all things that we don't know. But again, I need you guys to be there for her. Stand there in the gap for her.
Yeah.
All right.
I would also think, maybe the letter writer could send us a follow-up, because I'd be curious to know how that process is going, or maybe they can seek some of your counseling assistance. You're good in that area uh, as far as coaching them through that, because that's something that's really important. I'd like.
Actually, at this point, the interesting, and this is gonna sound bad, and then we're gonna wrap everything up. I wouldn't even want to coach the mom at this point.
I mean
She
the
ain't
daughter. I don't
no,
mean the mom.
no, wait, no. I'm not saying this for you. I'm just saying I would be more interested in getting my hand and my heart on that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the one. She's the one you want to save.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to give her a hug. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like to let
I mean,
her know.
I got 5 daughters, so I'm sitting here like, damn. I wish. That's just yeah. She, yeah,
That's fucked up.
yeah.
But
Well,
here's the thing. I would have still got it 7 years though. It couldn't have been me. It couldn't have been my sister. Avius couldn't have pulled that monkey junk. Cause
No.
it would have been a whole nother story. I'd have been taking her kids from her. It wouldn't. You are not gonna be abusive to children. I don't care if there are no physical scars. Cause here's the thing about abuse that people don't understand. If you beat me or you break my bones, those shits they're gonna heal. Those bruises are gonna go away. But when you scar my heart, you scar me emotionally, and all of that, that shit sticks with you way longer than any of that other stuff. And
Yep.
clearly you know that because it's manifesting with the mother. She's emotionally scarred, and she is now the hurt people hurt people. Now,
Talk about bag lady.
bag lady. Yeah, I got a bag. I can use that as a punching bag. Anyway, so tonight's show, before we wrap up, because we only got a couple more minutes left. Final thoughts, Sporty. Final thoughts, Rob. Takeaways.
Well, my final thought and takeaway is this: that instead of being accepting of what people do, whether they're joking or serious, stand up. Make concessions for people and learn to acknowledge them from their point of view. We don't know what it is as a light-skinned person to walk in KiKi's shoes. KiKi doesn't know what it is to walk in our shoes. So if we take a little bit more care and concern to acknowledge the other person for who they are versus the color of their skin within our own race, we might be able to make a little step further and learn to work as a unit versus working against each other.
Rob.
I'm not gonna try to put my size 12 feet in your size 7 shoes. I don't even need to be thinking about your size 7 shoes. I think we need to worry about being comfortable in our own skins, and then when we look at things, understand. You got to start to understand the game. We're not expected to come together. They don't want that. So you got to just be comfortable with you and learn the game. Just learn the game, take advantage of the game, get what you need out of life. A lot of this problem ain't gonna go away, and you have to deal with the people that you interact with genuinely. Just deal with each other genuinely. Look at us. We deal with each other for who we are, for the relationship that we have. That have anything to do with skin color, or attitude, or broken English versus whatever, because I'm gonna be light-skinned all my life. You know what I'm saying? No matter what else I say, in proper English or not. So the bottom line is, be comfortable with that. Do your thing and learn the game, man. Just learn the game.
Yeah, you guys put it so eloquently. The only thing that I would add is that, just be authentic, and accept people in their authenticity. And that would be the skin that they're in, how they make you feel, how they treat you. You always want to be the kind of person that people are happy to see you leave and not to see you go. You know what I mean? You don't want them to be happy to see you go. You want them to be happy to be like, hey, oh, you leaving? You know what I mean? And if the person that comes into your environment and your space and you are not happy to see them leave, then that person is a person of quality, and we should not focus on anything less than surrounding ourselves with people of quality. And if you minimize people to one-dimensional or two-dimensional characters, such as complexion or, where they grow up, or, something so minimal, shame on you. And then the final thing is, you know what? Slavery ended a long time ago. You are free. Okay, in case you didn't know, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and you are free. And that means physically and figuratively and literally. So stop and free your mind from those chains and that bondage that you're in terms of living and thinking and behaving in the way that continues to separate and create dissension among human beings.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
With that being said, on behalf of our producer cousin Chance, our incredible invisible intern, Sporty Spunky Angel, and the Rob Carter, I am KiKi Richardson. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a wonderful part of this conversation. We'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. We're only like 40 days out from the election, and we're going to be talking about all things politics next week. All things politics. Donald Trump, your ass is on the chocolate block. What your name is, Clinton, you not off the hook either. It's gonna be a whole bunch of things that we're gonna be talking about. This Supreme Court Justice BS, the DA who lost a seat down in Florida, that piece of shit woman. All of that stuff we're gonna be talking about next week. So make sure you tune in. We'll see you next time, guys. And remember, we're always uncensored, unscripted, unapologetic. Now I'm going to drink me some water because I'm choking.
Good night.
Good night, good people.
So now I'm gonna be a light-skinned clown.
Why not? And we're still not clear yet. Knew you was a thug. I knew it. Since we're not clear yet, I tell you, that dark-skinned lady that's on the show with us is something else. And she's short.
She is short.
Shout and dark.
Oh, okay. I don't have like a chocolate joke for that. I don't know about nothing short chocolate.
She said we are still live.
Right there.